Hello, and welcome back to the next part of my Battle of White Mountain playthrough. Um, as you can see over here, just finished up turn 2, now moving on to turn 3. But I just will take a minute to go into some of the highlights from what happened on turn 1. First of all, the Imperial first echelon activated, pushed forward some more. Some of their cavalry units took out some of the Protestant heavy cavalry. Though I should mention something of note. Maximilian's unit engaged in close combat with Matthias Thurn, and actually Maximilian was wounded and killed, so he was removed from the battle, and that stopped the wing, his wing, from doing any further orders that turn. And then at the end of the turn, or end of the whole round, you roll for a replacement leader, and as you can see now, it's a generic Oberst, which is, I believe, like a colonel rank. We'll just call him Bob for the rest of this game. He's just an unnamed Oberst, taking over the unit now. So that did buy a little breathing room for Matthias, but he was able to actually rally his unit. So now he's just morale shaken. It was morale broken. Then the second echelon activated. They were able to destroy the Bohemian Royal Cavalry, but they kind of got a little bit of a traffic jam going there. So it's definitely going to take maybe a turn for them to kind of straighten out their formations and keep pushing forward. Then the Catholic League activated, and they switched over to charge orders. So that allows them to actually move adjacent to the enemy and attack. And Thiele managed to charge through. He took out some heavy cavalry units, but his formation is broken now, so he has no movement allowance. That's why it's MA0, so he can't move until he regroups. And then Duke Maximilian, the army commander, is leading up a unit kind of following in the second wave. Also, the Protestant artillery here and here were overrun by Catholic League forces, and now the guns are considered captured. The Catholic heavy artillery down here, there was a little bit of a fire lane opened up. I moved clear. They had a clear opening, so they were able to fire on the heavy infantry unit up here, and they actually hit him pretty hard. They had to do a morale check and took a formation hit, but they did pass a morale check. Schlick tried to change his orders, and he was actually able to change into make ready orders. So that'll make it a little easier for him to convert to charge orders, and that'll allow him to kind of counterattack. So hopefully it'll be the first time now the Protestants are able to actually do a little bit of counterattack. Also, we had a unit rout off the board. He was morale broken. The Jung Arnold unit, led by Christian the Younger. Any units that are morale broken during the morale movement phase move their full movement allowance towards the retreat edge of the board. Each side has their own retreat edge, and once they exit the board, then they are removed from the game. So I just said we'll put him over there in the losses box. So as you can see, the losses are piling up for the Protestants, and these are the only losses the Catholics have taken. There was, Maximilian, Prince of Liechtenstein, and then heavy cavalry unit. Now below here is the pursuit box. These are Catholic units that pursued units off board to destroy them. You always have to roll on a pursuit table under certain circumstances, and then they are out of the battle, but they do not count as victory points. So and that can happen for either side. That's another thing I maybe would take a second to explain the system. In a lot of war games, there's like a general cohesion check, but in this particular game, they broke it up between morale and formation separately, so it allows for a little more detailed. There's 3 states in each category. There is like formation normal, formation shaken, which means they're kind of slightly disrupted. Their movement allowance is cut in half and they take a negative penalty. Then there is formation broken, which is the next level of formation hit. And that means your movement allowance is 0. You can't move until you rally. Then there's normal morale, and then morale shaken, which lowers your morale by 1. And then if you take another morale hit, it's morale broken. Then your morale is reduced to 1. And during the rout phase, if any morale broken units will try to exit the board. So just take a second to explain that. So the other thing of note that happened this turn, the Transylvanians actually are successfully committed now. So where's their leader, Cornus? They will be able now to activate on their turn in this coming turn. So we'll see what they can do. They are very light cavalry units. They have a C next to them, which is like Croatian style cavalry. It's a very loose formation. So we'll just see how it goes, because the Catholic advance, I think, is going to stall out a little bit, just due to the fact they got to reorganize and rally. But it's pretty much an unstoppable tide, because they kind of have wave after wave of guys coming up. I thought maybe, too, I would take a second to show the combat charts. This here, it's a bifold thing, player aid cards. You have your order restrictions, orders change, leader casualty, leader replacement table, your continuation and preemption. And I will talk a little more about these mechanics in the future. Then, of course, you have your terrain effect charts, interception table, formation effects on movement. So that's, formation shaken and all that I referred to. Here's your musketry tables for heavy infantry, and then heavy infantry with regimental artillery, which does not come into effect in this particular game because that was later on in the 30 Years' War. They started introducing smaller, like 3-pounder guns that they would wheel right into battle along with the infantry. And I've played some of the other later historical games, and those are very potent units, as you can see. And not only do they deal casualties, they deal formation hits. That's what the FH is. And some of them will deal casualties, formation hits, and morale checks. Then we have here the artillery fire table based on the size of the guns, 3-pounders, 4 to 8-pounders, 12 to 24-pounders. And then these are double-sized batteries. And then you have the range modifier chart. If the unit is, say, 4 hexes away, if it's a 3-pound gun, there's a -1 dice modifier. There's no modifier for that. And as you can see, plus and minus. And then on the last page here is the close combat tables, your close combat matrix based on, like, if it's a arquebusier attacking a light infantry, heavy infantry, that's a modifier to it. And there's that cavalry pursuit table that I talked about. You roll the dice with the modifiers and they may pursue units off the board, but don't want to get too bogged down in that right now. But yeah, so I'm going to stop it here and then continue on with the next turn, see what happens. Yep, I'll get back to you soon.